Hi students, today we are discussing about the neoclassical marginal productivity theory of distribution. The earliest enunciation of the marginal productivity theory was attempted by the writers like Ricardo, Longfield and Henry George. But the main credit of this theory, development of this theory goes to the neoclassical economists like J.B. Clark, Wickstreet, J. Vance and Marshall. So this theory is known as neoclassical marginal productivity theory of distribution. Okay. Now we can discuss what are the assumptions of the theory. Number one, conditions of perfect competition in the factor market and product market prevails according to this theory. Number two, there is stationary or static state in the economy. Then third one is employers are rational, so they always try to maximize profit. And the fourth assumption is all units of a given factor production are homogeneous. Fifth one, productivity of factor market and factor market and product market are exactly measured. Then full employment of resources of the economy are sixth assumption. And the seventh assumption is perfect mobility of factor or factors of production between all employments and all regions of production. Okay. Now we can see what are the important aspects of MPT theory. First one is the price or reward of a factor unit is determined by its marginal revenue product. അതായത് ഇവിടെ ഒരു ഫാക്ടറിൻ്റെ പ്രൈസ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ റിവാർഡ് നിശ്ചയിക്കുന്ന എന്താണ് അതിൻ്റെ മാർജിനൽ റവന്യൂ പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ MRP ആണ്. ഓക്കെ. So in making the decisions related to factor unit, like that is taking the decisions of the employment of a factor labor, the employer will compare the MRP or the MP, marginal product of the last worker and the marginal wage or average wage paid to the last worker. Okay, the employment of a factor unit decision depends on the wage paid to that worker and the marginal product of that worker. See, here we can say three situations can happen, that is MRP can be greater than MW and MRP will be equal to MW and MRP will be less than MW. And see, you can see it in the diagram very clearly. You can see that is in the first situation. Okay. In the first case, what you can see is in the diagram, you can see x-axis units of labor are measured and y-axis we are measuring the revenue product and the wage rate. Okay. And the employer, the wage rate is constant, OW is the wage rate. First, the employer employs ON1 units of labor. So, the MRP is R1N1 is the MRP because the MRP curve is U-shaped that is drawn. So the MRP is R1N1 at wage rate W1N1. So there is excess profit. You can see R1 and W1. So here MRP is greater than MW wage. So the situation is excess profit for the employer. So what the producer does is that he is increasing the number of laborers employed. So he increases laborers from ON1 to ON2. Then what happens? See, the MRP diminishes due to the operation of diminishing returns. So what is the MRP here? R2N2 is the MRP. Here wage rate is W2N2. So wage rate is greater than the MRP of the labor. Okay. So the employer incurs losses. So he tries to reduce the number of laborers employed to N0. Then there is then happens the equality between MRP and MW. So R0, N0 is the MRP and wage rate is the same. R0, N0 is a wage rate also. So here is the equilibrium. The employment of a factor unit is determined at this point when factor price, that is MW, becomes just equal to MRP. MW is just equal to MRP where the employment of a factor unit is determined. And the second important element is, in the long run, the factor price tends to be equal to both ARP and MRP of the factor. Okay, the factor price tends to be equal to ARP and MRP of the factor. This is in the long run. So, in the long run equilibrium situation, firms, we know that in the long run, every firm secure only normal profit. In the short run, there can be cases of supernormal profit and losses, but in the long run, firms tends to secure only normal profit. Then what happens? ARP is equal to MRP. Then it's what the factors are paid, that is the remuneration of the factor, that is wage, is equal to the ARP or MRP. Okay, wage becomes, of the factors remuneration becomes equal to their ARP or MRP. So it's clearly depicted in the figure, that is the same diagram, that is units of labor is measured on the x-axis and the revenue, product and wage rate is measured on the y-axis. You can see that the wage rate is constant, OW is the wage rate, and this is the case of long run where MRP and ARP are equal to the wage rate. So there is no excess profit, there is no losses. AW is equal to MW. Okay. And third important element of this theory is equality of the MRP of all factors of production in the long run. In the long run, all factors of production's MRP are becoming equal. Suppose take the case of, suppose the employer employs three factors, okay, X, Y and Z. So what happens is here, MRP of a factor X is equal to MRP of factor Y, that is equal to MRP of factor Z. So if this condition has to be whole, their factor prices should also be equal to their MRP. That is MRP, you can see the equation, MRP of factor X by price of X is equal to MRP of Y by price of Y is equal to MRP of Z by price of Z. So this is the situation of long run. And the last important element of MPT theory is the factor prices tend to be equal in the long run in all employments. In the long run, all factor prices tend to be equal. Okay, in all and whatever be the employment, their factor prices tend to be equal. This is the condition of long run. So this in the MPT theory, the price of any factor of production tends to become equal in the long run. Any factors of production's price will be equal, tend to become equal in the long run in all employment. That is the situation of this theory in this graph. And now we are coming to the criticism part of this theory. There are so many criticisms. Mainly the criticisms are posed on the assumptions of the theory, because many of these assumptions of this theory are unrealistic. So the first criticism of the theory is measurement of productivity. Productivity is measured. Regarding the productivity measurement, the first criticism comes. Second is unrealistic assumptions. You know that the theory is based on so many unrealistic assumptions. And third is marginal product and wages. Actually, the wages are based on marginal productivity, but as per this theory, based on marginal productivity, wages are determined. So on that ground also criticism comes. Then profit maximizing assumptions. We know that employer has so many goals, but as per this theory, the employer has only one goal, that is profit maximization. Then this theory is inapplicable in the real world. Then the law of diminishing returns is criticized. Then the theory of exploitation, this theory is called theory of exploitation. Then this is based only on the demand side, supply side is neglected. There are so many assumptions are coming. So this is about MPT theory. Thank you.